Hello students, I welcome all of you to my virtual classes. Today I will discuss with you the political radicalisms as well as the economic crisis at Germany. So students, as we have been discussing from the last classes that Germany was in very critical situations after the First World War, because all the European countries, they blamed Germany and Germany paid all these compensations amount which was having great devastations to the Allied during the time of war. So here this Imperial Germany was having great losses, and after having great losses we see the peoples in Germany, they had meeting at Weimar and they brought new systems called the Weimar Republic. The Weimar Republics who came into beings with a democratic structures, and after that they made the treaty at Versailles and they paid all these compensations amount to all the Allied countries. So here we see that the Germany who is having great losses after the First World War. So when the Germany was having great losses during that time, we see the great economic crisis, the great political confusions, the fighting between these Weimar republics as well as the Spartacist League, which was given a chances for the rising of Hitler. Because as we see that the Weimar Republic as well as the Spartacists were having these strong oppositions to each other. Here we see the political radicalisms, and what is called political radicalisms? It means the drastic change. So dear students, as we have learned about these three ideologies, the conservatives, the liberals as well as the radicals. And what is called radicalisms means it talks about a sudden change in political system. So here the Spartacist League, who was rooted on these pattern of Bolshevik revolutions in Russia. So here the Spartacist League was having the ideology of Bolshevik growth in Russia. And during that time, students, as we know that there are Soviets of workers, there were sailors who began to have their establishment in many cities as well as in towns. And during that time, many peoples, they were looking for a change. They continuously demanding to have a different political change in the society. As we see that many peoples in Berlin, they demanded to have the Soviet style of governance, because there was no Soviet style of governance. There was republic systems, there was democratic structures. So many peoples in Berlin, what they demanded to have? They demanded to have a new structures of government, and in that new structures they need to adopt the Soviet style of governance. But when these socialists, the democrats as well as the Catholics, when they begin to understand these Spartacist League, during that time they were having meeting at this Weimar, and they brought several changes in Weimar Republic, and they had the shape of Weimar republics in a democratic style of governance. So here the Weimar republics is totally having the shape of democratic republic. So dear students, we see here that the Weimar republic, when they saw the uprising of this Spartacist League during that time, they successfully crossed or they successfully suppressed the ideology of the Spartacist League, because the Spartacist League was having the ideology of these Bolshevik groups in Russia. So what we see here? So here we understood that the Weimar Republic, with the help of the veterans organizations called the Free Corps, they successfully suppressed the uprising of the Spartacist League, because the Spartacist League, they were trying to have revolutions in the society. They were trying to bring a certain political change in the society, but here with the help of these veterans organizations called the Free Corps, the Weimar Republic, they successfully crossed the ideologies of these Spartacist League, were having their uprisings in between the period of 1923. So students, as we see that this Spartacist League was founded their Communist Party of Germany. So here the Spartacist League, they founded and established a political party called the Communist Party of Germany, and they were rooted in the ideologies of the Bolshevik parties of Russia. So here, as we see that the communist parties as well as the socialist parties, they were very strong opponents. They were not reconciled to each other, became a very strong enemies, and they do not make any common cause against the Hitler here, because these communist parties as well as the socialist parties, they were great enemies. That is why they did not affect the cause against the Hitler here. So after that, the revolutionary parties, the nationalist parties, they tried to bring these radical solutions as well as the political change in the society, but it was effortless. It was not working properly, because during that time both communist party as well as these socialist parties, they were stronger enemies fighting each other to implement their political ideologies, implement their different kind of ideologies in Germany. But when they tried to bring several changes in political systems, but it was effortless. And as we see here that the political political radicals, it was increasing more and more. And during that time we see the great economic crisis that happened to Germany in the year 1923. So Germany was in a very critical conditions, in which America, who came out and bailed out Germany from this great economic crisis. At the beginning, students, we have discussed that Germany was actively participated in the First World War and hoping that the First World War will be ending soon, but it continued for a long time, which caused great devastations to Germany and at the same time great losses, devastations which affected to all European countries. So during that time we see that the Germany who took the war loan engaged in the First World War, and he was paying the war loans through giving gold. But these gold reserve centers, it was reducing, or the gold resources was becoming very scarce when they were paying the war loans in terms of gold here. But the gold reserve resources were becoming very scarce because there was a great war loan. And finally, Germany, who did not want to pay the war loan during that time, the France, who came out, occupied the industrial areas of Germany. But with the passive resistance, Germany, who cunningly printed many notes. Without having a strong resistance, Germany, what they did, they continuously printed many notes and tried to have many progress in the society. But the value of dollars, which was becoming very, very painful to them. And here, what Germany was having? Germany crisis becoming very, very heightened. It means Germany was having great losses. Even though they tried to recover by printing the money, printing the currency, but it was effortless because the value was going down and down. It was becoming very painful for them. The price rate was increasing, and here in the history books we see that many people, they were carrying the notes in order to buy the food. So as we can see that the notes, the currency, whose values was going down and down, and Germany was having a very critical situations. Their currency value in terms of dollar, it was becoming very down. They were having great economic crisis. The price rate was increasing, in which Germany was not able to fulfill the demands of the citizens. So dear students, as I was telling you that with too much printed money circulations, which resulted the value of Germany currency to go down and down. So here, when the values of Germany currency which gone down with the much printed money circulations, it created a economical crisis in Germany. So we see that the price rate which increased very highly, the bread which become very scarce for the peoples. It was very difficult for the common peoples to buy the bread because the rate was very high, the price was very high, and it created a very great difficulties for the peoples of Germany. So here, the Allied powers called the America was part of the Allied power, who sympathetically understood the situations of Germany and they bailed out Germany by introducing the Davos Plan. And when the Davos Plan was introduced, it released the financial burden of Germany. So dear students, here in these topics, we try to understand the political radicalizations as well as the economic crisis of Germany. So in these political radical movements, there were the communist parties as well as the socialist parties. They were looking for a certain changes in the society. They were seeing that the Weimar republics is completely failed and not able to do anything for the society. That is why the political radical movements which began at Germany, and they wanted to reform the society by introducing the Soviet structures of governance, but they were completely crushed by the Weimar republics. And here the economical crisis which was continued, and during that time the America who came out and who bailed out Germany out of this economical crisis. Thank you so much for listening.